Good morning, good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to another Geek Tavern. As always, it's me, Shawn. I'm joined by Mike.
Hello.
And Aaron.
Bonjour.
And today we are talking about Aaron's recommendation, Casino Royale, 007 James Bond, the first installment of the Daniel Craig Bond series.
And ironically was the first installment of James Bond back in the 50s.
Yes.
When the character was brought to actual media. This is actually a remake.
Oh, okay.
The original movie sucked.
Oh.
Isn't this Ian Fleming's first James Bond novel?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it makes sense with the way that the story progresses. This is the first... I suppose it's not the first Bond movie, but this, in chronological order, would be the first Bond movie, because this is where Bond gets his 007 license, his license to kill.
You mean as a franchise whole?
Yeah, I mean, like, this would be, because I don't think that we really see any origin of 007 or him getting his license to kill in any other iteration.
See, I'm so ignorant when it comes to James Bond. Like, I thought, sure, they were all in the same universe, but
There's a theory behind that.
Yeah. So I thought that, like, you know, you got the name James Bond with the 007.
Yeah, but we find out in this series of movies that that's not the case.
Okay.
Because we go to Bond's actual home, and Bond is on the gates and everything.
Yeah, okay.
Like we find out that his actual name is James Bond.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not very good at hiding.
I don't know anything.
He's not very good at going undercover anywhere because he just goes by his name.
Yeah. They even bring that up in this movie whenever he's like interrogating or basically just using that one woman who is the wife of the bomb.
Oh.
Like, he's not even a bomb maker. He's the dude that connects Lashif with the bomb maker.
Right.
And so she comes up dead, and then Emma's like, well, can she pinpoint you anyway? And he's like, no, of course not. And he literally like gave her his name the night before.
Yeah.
So
yeah, name, everything. Like, yeah. And I think that speaks as part of Bond's character, because he's so overconfident in his abilities that he's like, I can give them my real name. It's not like they're gonna be able to do anything about it. Like,
Yeah.
So, but the movie starts out with Bond getting confirmed for his 007 status, which is a pretty neat sequence, all in black and white. I said to Shawn when we were watching it, I was like, so do you think that a lot of people were pissed off in 2006? Like, it started in black and white, and then some people went out, they're like, the movie's in black and white! It's supposed to be in color! Like, there's probably
I'm sure there
people
was,
who went out to the office, and they're like, hey, it's wrong! But, it's a very neat...
Your color's off.
It's a very noir sequence, really.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Of him breaking into the section chief's office to tell him basically he's been caught selling state secrets, and he's not too worried about it because he says that Bond's not a 00, so what's he gonna do? And then he tells him that he already had his first kill, and then he proceeds to tell him, he's like, oh, your second one, and then he just shoots him dead, and he's like, yep, thanks. So he gets his 00 status, and then he's on a mission in Madagascar, where he's
there to question the bomb maker.
Yeah, and he chases him in a very cool action sequence through a construction site. There's a lot of parkour going on, a lot of stunt work.
Yeah.
I believe Daniel Craig did almost all of his stunts in that. Because I think I watched an interview where he said that the scariest stunt that he did was jumping from the one crane to the other crane. Because even while he was harnessed and everything, like, still terrifying to jump from one crane to another crane.
And then in the scene, it calls for him to almost not make it. So
you gotta land and slip.
You're right.
I mean, you're not gonna die, but that's still a very scary thing to do, because you can very much risk like injuring your leg or something like that.
That's one of the most memorable scenes, I'll say.
Oh yeah, because when
like,
you think about this movie, like, that's one of the biggest things that come to mind.
Because I don't know if I said this at the end of the last when you recommended this, but I've only seen this once, and that was like 2000. When did Skyfall come out?
2012.
So
Spectre was 15. Yeah,
I think it was the summer of 2011. I probably watched
gearing
it.
up to watch.
Like, yeah, my one buddy wanted to watch them to gear up for it. So, like, only seeing this once, like, I remembered that whole scene, like, basically bit for bit. So, I would say it's very memorable and
Oh yeah,
I would say almost iconic scene. Probably the first parkour I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, it was like a really big selling point of it was like all of the parkour and everything. It was kind of big at that time, like parkouring and all that shit. You don't really see a lot of,
They mentioned it in the office.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of that anymore. Like the last one that I can really think of was like Kingsman, maybe.
Yeah.
In the first Kingsman, which is, spoofing off of this a little bit even, but
And
that was like 2014, 2000 something.
And if you watch Alley Law, forget about you. But very cool action sequence, which ends at a U.S. embassy where Bond kills the bomb maker and blows up the embassy to escape, and finds the bomb and a cell phone with a text message with the word ellipsis on it.
Mm-hmm.
So he is tracking down, he's going down, figuring out who sent this message, whatever, and he finds Mr. Demetrios at the Ocean Club, and wins his car from him.
The Aston Martin.
Yeah, the beautiful 1964 Aston Martin that he nicked the door.
I love that the whole purpose of finding the footage, the security footage, was basically just to see who owns the. Wasn't that basically the?
Yeah, because the guy thought that he was a valet.
Yeah.
Which it worked out for Bond because then he just backed his car into the whole gate, and then all the security people rushed to the parking lot. So he went in and checked the footage to find out, and then.
Or no, he was checking to see who sent the text.
Yes, and then he saw that watching the security footage, saw that he sent the text message at the same exact time that it was received to the other guy's phone. So he starts interrogating his wife. Well, not interrogating. He's just asking her questions while they have sex. And then he figures out where Demetrios is going, because now that his bomb maker's dead, Lashif has to hire another bomb maker. And we'll back up for a second. The reason why he's hiring a bomb maker is because he's a banker.
He's an accountant.
Yeah. He's an accountant for, would we call him for Spectre, or is he a third party? I want to say he's a third party.
Well, he was introduced by Mr. White, who was a part of Spectre.
Yeah.
So I think that in Spectre they take him under the umbrella of it. So I think he is involved in Spectre.
So he now has like this terrorist money, like $100 million.
I think it's 150 or $120 million, something like that.
So he has all of his money and everything, and he's a bit of a gambler. So he has this plot to blow up this prototype airplane. So he's putting $101 million or something like that in the stocks, and the guy's like,
to short them.
Yeah. And he's like, it's not going to do anything. He's like, they're unveiling the new prototype. And he's like, yeah, whatever, just do it. Like telling his broker, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's hiring a bomb maker to blow up this prototype. So when Bond kills the first bomb maker, Demetrios has to hire another bomb maker. So he goes, Bond goes to Miami, which is where he's taking off from and handing off basically the bomb or whatever he's handing off to him, to the guy who's going to blow up the plane. And then there's an action sequence at the airport, which ends with Demetrios' death and the bomb maker's death, because Bond ends up sticking the bomb back onto the guy who was going to blow up the plane.
That was a great sequence, too.
Was.
That whole chase, and then...
Yeah. And Bond is, like, he's off the grid when he's doing this.
Yes.
Like he's doing this of his own volition. He's not sanctioned by MI6 when they're doing this.
Oh, and ellipsis is the password to get into the secure area of the airport.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's how the guy gets in and has the uniform and everything, is because ellipsis is the password that he can get access into, basically out onto the tarmac where he can blow up the plane.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Bond also figures that out, that ellipsis is the password, and he ends up using it to get out there too.
Yeah. After that big sequence, he starts being grilled by M. He's like, okay, like, you can't just do this stuff. First you cause an international incident, then you blow up or make a huge explosion on a tarmac. So they inject him with the tracker. And they find out that Lashif is putting together a high-stakes poker tournament.
Basically to recoup his
recoup the losses of not getting winnings off of the short of the prototype.
They would have went bankrupt and
Yeah.
he would have
He would have made
money.
made like billions of dollars.
Yeah.
So now he's being hunted because they figured out that he's lost the money. But also now MI6 basically has him pegged that he's the one who's behind this. So they send in Bond.
Yes.
To be
M's
the player.
like, unfortunately, you're our best poker player in MI6, so I have to send you in despite not wanting to, because he's basically just proved to M so far that he's a loose cannon.
Yeah.
And just like does anything to get the job done.
That he does.
I will say, I think that they kind of like stack action sequences in the front. I mean, I guess there's action sequences throughout the poker tournament as well, like high stakes things, but they're just like kind of jam packing.
It slows down in the middle.
Yeah, like
it really draws you in. You slow down for a minute, and you're like, okay, and then it ramps back up at the end, which is nice.
I was almost going to comment about how like there's almost too many action set pieces, because there's the first one, the one on the tarmac, then like you say, it slows down in the middle, and then the one at the very end, the huge one in Venice.
Yeah.
But then you also have the smaller ones of like Bond being attacked by
the terrorists
at the hotel, and you can even call whenever Bond is poisoned. A bit of a, it's just like a high tension.
Yeah, it's more of a thrilling scene, because you're like, oh god, is he gonna die? Is he gonna die?
I would say that's one of my downsides of this movie is like how actiony. Because like this morning, I watched it in 2 parts. The first like hour or so, and it was super actiony. So like all day, I'm like, wow, that was really good, you know. And then I come home and watch basically the poker tournament, and I'm like, wow, this is really slow. Like maybe if I didn't split it up, it might feel a little bit better. But I did really realize how much it does slow down. But
I like the slower moments of the movie better. Like I really like the more espionage portions of the movie where Bond is trying to find out Lashif's tell, and you know, I mean, I don't really give a shit about poker, but it's.
I'm trying to say I don't know anything about poker, so like I was totally lost every time they.
I mean, like I understand the basics of it, but like I said to Shawn, and I could be wrong, but like when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, it's just all up to chance. Like you get dealt the cards. Like
what's the strategy behind it?
Yeah, I mean, like, well, I guess you gotta bluff.
Poker
You gotta
face,
bluff
but...
the guy ahead in front of you. But like, and we see Bond lose. Like we see Bond lose, but then he's like, I know I can beat him, and it's like, are you talking about beating him by bluffing him?
I mean, people are professional poker players for a reason. Not any like schlub can just go in and sit down.
Yeah.
Like, that's the conversation that Bond and Vesper have on the tram to wherever it is, Montenegro, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because Vesper is also a bit of an accountant. I forget exactly who she's affiliated with, or she claims to be affiliated
She's from
with.
the Treasury Department.
Yeah, okay. And she's like, oh, okay, because I thought that we were just, you know, gambling away our chance of catching a well-known terrorist. But I see
why does he have to lose the money? Sorry to interrupt. Why does he have to lose the money for them to really capture him.
Because then he has no leverage.
Okay.
And they can offer him sanctuary and then, like, protect him from his clients.
Okay.
So that, like, he doesn't get his arms chopped off and killed, basically.
Yeah, basically a way to, hey, we'll protect you, but give us the image.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Basically, tell us who you're working for.
Yeah,
yeah.
Except they have no fucking clue about that whole thing until later on.
But the conversation that Bond has with Vesper, it's like, yeah, there is a modicum of chance, but there's also, like, probability involved, and, like, even Bond mentions that during the first hand that he loses, like, 50 grand or something like that. But it's about reading the man and then, like, you know, bluffing and out-bluffing and figuring it out. Because...
Which even then, like, when you talk about probability and statistics, you think about counting cards, and you're like, well, isn't that cheating?
They say
it's hard to count cards in poker because, I mean, obviously it's shuffled and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But in blackjack, it's much easier to count cards just because of probability or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you're going by, and I mean, like a poker game, it takes a long time too. So I'm guessing as cards get shuffled out, you have to do the mental math.
Yeah.
Okay, that card's on the table, which means somebody might have this, or it's still in the deck.
Yeah, exactly. And then they throw cards away to up the probability of different outcomes happening. Yeah. And there's so many fucking face cards and suits and numbers.
So
stuff. Like
when the dealer,
I was gonna say when they're doing like straight flush and all that, I'm like, God damn! Like, you gotta be like, Bond got extremely lucky in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you guys won't even know, but when the dealer would bring out another card like this one here, he would also put one over here.
That's the like. So if anybody's counting cards, like
that's
it
to throw off
the
okay. Because I was like, what is that for?
Yeah.
Because like I said, I don't know shit. So.
Oh, I don't. I'd love to research it and like understand, you know, what all goes into it.
Yeah.
I think it would be fun to do. Not that I have the money to gamble away, but it would just be fun to like play it and just be like, all right, you know.
I don't even know the first thing about it. So
yeah,
I don't either.
I just wondered what those cards were.
Yeah. So yeah, most of the majority of the middle of the movie is the card game, which I thoroughly enjoyed. We also get introduced to Felix
Leiter, who is played by Jeffrey Wright, but Felix Leiter is a character that a lot of people would remember from the Sean Connery days or the Roger Moore days, because he is James Bond's counterpart in the CIA.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, throughout the Craig series, you meet a lot of characters. In fact, a lot of people thought at first in the movie that Vesper was Moneypenny, because when she sits down, she says to Bond, "I'm the money," and he says every penny of it, and everybody thought that she was Moneypenny.
Worth every penny.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so that's throwing my brain for a loop, because I'm like, how do you keep continuity?
Oh yeah,
like
yeah. So the funny thing is, it even screws with you even more because Judi Dench's M is a holdover from the Pierce Brosnan films.
So I knew she was like connected somewhere. Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't think that you can really construct an actual timeline because even like No Time to Die, it's kind of a remake of Dr. No in parts.
In parts, yeah.
And Blofeld, obviously, Inspector, like, he is a character that's been seen before and everything.
Played by multiple actors and everything. Yeah, the whole James Bond franchise. Mike, the best way for me to describe all the James Bond franchise, think Godzilla. They may not be connected at all.
Right.
Like, there could be a Connery movie that has absolutely nothing to do with any of the Connery movies that happened before.
All right.
Like, and I think there is a couple cases of that too, but but it's just kind of like, oh, here's Roger Moore, and then like I don't know, something in the back of my mind is telling me that there was like a Moore, then a Connery, then another Moore, and I'm like, did they really like just?
I don't think that's true, but I
don't
know enough about
I
it.
kind of thought they did do something like that.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's true or not, but I feel like they played them retired, then played. Somebody
Yeah.
else played, then they retired. And
Well, I thought I heard somebody. I don't know where I would have even came across it. Probably just on like a John Campier or something show, because they do talk about Bond here and there. But I thought somebody had said, that they brought somebody back. I forget who they were talking about. So I think that probably has happened where somebody has come back
probably.
after. I don't know though.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I think that there was a Lazenby, and then
Oh yeah,
more.
maybe another Roger.
That
yeah.
was it. Yeah,
But probably-
more Lazenby, then more again, and then I think Timothy Dalton after that.
Timothy Dalton,
Yeah.
and then after Timothy Dalton was
Pierce Brosnan, and then Daniel Craig is the last Bond. I won't say the current Bond because spoilers, he dies. Not in this movie though.
Yeah, he dies at the end of the most recent movie.
Yeah.
He's not confirmed as out though.
I'm pretty sure.
There's no way that he comes back from what happened. Absolutely no.
Well, it could be one of your one-offs though.
That's true. I don't see that happening though,
Or it could be a
because
prequel.
That's
what I said about Skyfall, because at the end of Skyfall, it almost could, if it was set in the 60s,
Right.
which it's not, but if it was set in the 60s, could have easily led into the Sean Connery Bonds.
Mm-hmm.
Easily could have, and nobody would have had an eye.
Something funny about the Daniel Craig's, or specifically Casino Royale. It's kind of like poking fun at the more cheesier ones. Like this series for a while was like, at least it got a little goofy towards the end. It was embracing its roots, but it was like trying to distance itself from the really like cheesy
Like all the
Roger
gadgets,
Moore ones
all
and
the
things like
gadgets and
that.
stuff.
Well, not just gadgets, but like
Cheesy one-liners.
the one-liners
I
and
like
like
that.
and just like being like totally nonchalant about how like Bond is just killing scores of people. And they even like mock some of the things like after, I think it's after he loses his money, not before he like, yeah, it's after he loses all his money and before Felix buys him back into the game. He's like, I want a vodka martini, and the bartender's like, oh, shaken or stirred? And he's like, do I look like I give a fuck? Basically,
Yeah.
He's like I don't give a shit, which is like,
I think he
a
literally
Connery-
says, "I don't give a shit."
yeah, he's like, do I look like I give a damn?
Yeah, he says, do I look like I give
I don't give a damn.
Yeah, and then because that's like a Sean Connery, like, shaken, not
Shaken,
stirred
stirred.
Oh, okay.
type of shit. Like that.
Which, and you really see the frustration in his character at that moment, because like 2 scenes prior, he calls over the barman and he's like, I want a dry martini.
He was
And
very
he's like,
specific.
yes, sir. And he's like, wait, 3 measures of Gordon's, 1 of vodka, half a measure of Quina Lillet.
That
lemon
I
peel
feel
in
like
it.
that was also just a tactic to get under Lashif's skin and kind of like shake him up, because after the bartender leaves, 2 of the other guys are like, "Oh, I'll have one of those too," and then Felix is like, "Friend, I'll have that too, but hold the fruit or whatever."
Yeah.
And Lashif was like, "Can we fucking play now?" Which is like funny because all of the other people, with the exception of Lashif, Felix, and Bond, are there just to have a fun poker game.
He's the only one who's like just there, who's
Yeah, to
like,
win this
listen,
money.
shut the fuck up, everybody. I need to win this money back,
Yeah. So it's
or I'm
funny.
going to get killed.
It's really funny that Bond is like obviously taking a lighthearted tone because it's supposed to be a game,
Right.
and Lashif is like, "Fucking, let's play cards."
Yeah.
And everybody's just like, "Okay, Jesus Christ."
Jesus, man, calm down.
But yeah, that, and then there's some other stuff.
Then he's about to take a knife just to go murder Lashif.
Yeah, he's just gonna straight up murder him.
He just grabs a knife off the table and he's like, and then Felix is like, hold up, man.
Yeah.
Relax. Let's, I'll buy you back in. You just calm down.
I suck at poker.
I suck at poker. I'll give you the money. You let us bring in Lashif.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Which,
doesn't happen anyway.
yeah, it does not.
yeah, which thinking about that, you...
Wouldn't he be pissed because like they didn't get?
I mean,
I guess they don't care
he's
about
dead now.
Yeah,
so like,
they don't have to worry about it.
yeah, like they can't find out more about his organization, but at least he's fucking dead. So like,
Well, I mean, let's talk about that. So the scene at the casino, everybody's playing cards. They take their recess, and Lashif gets attacked in his room by the terrorist who he just recently got his money because he found out that he lost it all, trying to bet on the stocks and plot a bomb threat. So he's pissed, threatens to cut his girlfriend's arm off, and then doesn't. because I guess a terrorist has a heart
It was
somewhat. I felt like he just should have just chopped it right
He was
off.
just trying to measure Lashif, I think.
Yeah.
He was like
Yeah.
full willing to cut off his girlfriend's arm, and he's like not even like he didn't even like scream out when I was about to like.
Yeah.
He's
No,
like,
it-
you're
it-
such a douche.
Coward, yeah.
Yeah.
Because and I think that's why he just didn't do it, was because he was like, this dude is just such a fucking coward. He's like, we don't even have to threaten him.
Yeah.
He's already
Yeah, he's on
pissing
the
himself.
hook.
Like
Mhm.
he'll get us the money, whatever. So they leave, and then Bond ends up killing them anyway.
Yeah. So
there's no
so
reason.
I found out he puts the bug in his ear after he gets the parcel from the because
Right, because
it-
they're in the elevator on their way
Yeah.
up, and he gets the parcel
I
with
came
the
in
gun.
as Mike was finishing. I like walked in that scene, and I was like,
Oh,
"Oh!"
right.
I literally saw him
Yeah.
put the thing in his ear. I was like, "Okay, now I get it." Because before I was like, does he just have that bug in his ear the entire game? Because I don't think that.
Yeah, I thought maybe the dealer would like look over and be like, "Mr. Bond, are you cheating?"
Yeah,
like,
take that shit out your ear.
Hey, what are you doing? Is that a hearing aid? And he's like, "Oh, what?"
But
I kind of thought that, going back a little bit, when what's her name, Vesper,
Mm-hmm.
when she walks in, I thought she walked in that way to get like a peek at
the cards.
the
yeah.
cards.
Yeah,
I was
just to
waiting for her
draw
to-
the other guy's attention.
Yeah, I thought that's what she was doing.
Basically to distract the
Yeah.
other players, so that Bond had the upper hand
Because
they're not focusing on
Bond
Cora.
calls her out on it, so I thought there was a deeper meaning in why she entered that way. But
I
Well,
think it was.
kind of. I'm really reaching here, but a little foreshadowing of betrayal.
I mean, I don't think. I think that because they were kind of like playing coy with each other up to this point, like because they're under the their characters are a husband and wife, so
Mhm.
like I think that she was just like showing off to Bond or something because he's been like, I need you to look your best, whatever, to distract everybody, and then I don't know.
yeah,
I feel like she was like it was like a kind of a flirty thing,
Yeah.
but because they eventually do get together, and then she betrays him. But I don't know. That's kind of how I viewed it anyway. Is she's like, hey, you know what? Maybe I'll just fucking poke you a little bit,
Yeah.
a little bit of a flirty thing.
That's you're probably on the right.
I mean, no matter where she enters from, when she goes up,
like
to make
like
this, it
even
don't like it,
even
doesn't matter.
Mathis says it's like, well, it worked. Everybody's
Yeah.
still staring at you. Like they haven't. Some of them are still staring at you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Is Mathis in more?
he's in Quantum, and then that's it.
Okay,
yeah, I
so,
don't
so
remember-
we do get more
Mathis
of that
dies
sort.
in Quantum.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember anything about that movie.
I-
Except the very end when Bond tells the dude to drink motor oil.
Oh yeah, tell
Mm.
Dominic Green drink motor oil.
That's the only thing I remember from that movie.
So that's the craziest thing I realized after watching this. I would think you were back here. I was telling Aaron out there. Like, I actually remember the most about this movie.
Yeah.
But it's the one I saw first, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched 2, and then we went and saw Skyfall in the theater. But, like, I don't remember shit about those two.
Skyfall
Quantum
is
was
great.
during the writer strike.
Yeah.
I
There
remember
was, like,
people talking
nothing
about that. But,
happening with that.
They were
movie.
like writing the movie as they were filming the movie.
oh, God.
So like it's one of those.
And it's not terrible. There are some good action sequences in it, but it's forgettable for the most part because there's not a strong villain.
Well, clearly.
There's not. There's not anything like driving the plot. I mean, they obviously had planned it out as multiple movies, and they were like trying to like. The only cohesion with that movie is the fact that Dominic Green, Lashif, Silva are all under Spectre's umbrella. Or tentacles, I guess. And that's the only like cohesion with it. So like Quantum, while it's not great, still connects into the rest of it.
Yeah.
This is like the MCU.
It's
for
funny.
Spanish.
It's
Right.
funny that they were like building up these 3 movies to try and like get like Spectre to be the big one, but like
Spectre.
Skyfall is
Yeah.
better
Skyfall's
than it.
better. Yeah.
Like Skyfall's really much better than it.
Skyfall is a lot better because you learn a lot more about Bond.
Yeah.
What is, because I'm so ignorant to this whole franchise, what is this, is Casino Royale considered by the Bond people the best of the Daniel Craig? Like, unanimously.
A lot of people say Skyfall is the
Because
best.
that's what I remember.
I
But-
would say Skyfall is very good. I'm partial to No Time to Die, one of my favorites.
Mhm.
But if I were to list them, it would be, I'm gonna have to go with Skyfall, No Time to Die, but Casino Royale is like this far
but,
apart
yeah.
from No Time to Die.
Okay.
This was received very well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it just kickstarted everything. Because, like you said, we had the very campy Pierce Brosnan. Like you said, there's only one good Pierce Brosnan movie, and that's Goldeneye.
And it's,
Die Another Day
the
was-
more serious one.
Die Another Day was fucking awful.
Really?
It was awful. There's like a satellite that has a laser on it. It uses the sun's power to like they claim that they're gonna use it to like grow food in places that don't get sunlight, blah blah blah. And then
They're like bombing compounds and shit like
they
that.
bomb compounds, but then they also like there's a North Korean like
Yeah.
guy who
He had
was
plastic
killed,
surgery.
had plastic surgery, comes back as like a British guy.
Yeah. It's
And
so
then
fucking bad.
it's so bad. And actually his like commander is the guy who was in Olympus Has Fallen. He was the North Korean guy who like, so he was in the movie and he played the other guy who had like the plastic surgery and shit because there was a bomb that went off
Oh my god.
and it was so dumb. Like Madonna did the theme song, so bad.
I think I remember that.
So bad. The movie was just terrible. And
Yeah, so it's like coming off the heels of like this campy stuff, and then
Yeah. not
It's-
4 years later, and everybody's like, "Oh Jesus Christ, are we good?" But
I,
like,
I brought it up because I remember when Skyfall came out, like people were like, "This is amazing!" Like people were losing their minds.
and that's one reason why I brought up to you, and I'm pretty sure you at one point or another, that the mid 2000s was really a time where moviegoers, or not even moviegoers, but studios were like, let's ground the shit out of our movies and make them realistic.
Oh
This
yeah,
James Bond is like as real as you're ever gonna get.
Well, yeah, that's what the 2000s were.
Yeah.
I was literally thinking that earlier. I don't
Think
think
about
we talked.
Batman, Iron
Yeah,
Man. Even Iron Man was grounded.
Right.
yeah, it was. I mean, for the fact that a dude built a mechanized suit, it was as grounded as it possibly could have
Yeah.
been.
But Batman's the biggest example.
Batman,
actually.
yeah. Christopher Nolan's Batman.
Yeah.
But even this James Bond, you don't have all the gadgets. You simply have a spy who's on a mission. It's
It's
big
really the
mystery.
beginning of the 2010s that they started like with that.
Really shedding off that.
Yeah.
Okay, we took ourselves too seriously. Let's start throwing more.
Because that's
in.
after
And
the Avengers. Like Avengers
Yes.
happened, and then
after
it's like,
Avengers
okay.
happened, that
Avengers,
was like,
I think,
everybody
is
was like,
what
okay,
made
never
it
mind.
okay to be out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
No. Avengers was the movie
Yeah.
that taught everybody, hey, you don't have to take yourself so seriously.
Right.
But this movie is a prime example of taking yourself, and not too seriously, because it takes itself serious enough to be taken seriously.
Mhm.
Because
It's more. Yeah, they're more grounded in
yeah,
realism.
because you were coming off of very cheesy Bond movies,
Yeah.
whereas you watch this and you're like, wow, this is actually like a very, very compelling spy movie.
Mhm.
And I feel like they don't take themselves as seriously in the later Bond movies, especially with No Time to Die. And even then, they still take themselves seriously.
it's
they
more,
just add in more of the gadgets and stuff,
Yeah,
like
the
things
tone
that made
is-
Bond Bond.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, this is one of those prime examples of it takes itself seriously enough to be taken seriously.
I find it funny that there's kind of a pendulum effect with these kinds of like just the genre of like a spy movie,
Mhm.
and that's want to happen in anything. But these were the tone of these movies were a product of the, like we had mentioned before, the cheesiness and the campiness of those older Bond movies, but like Austin Powers too, who was like directly spoofing those movies.
Which is
And
funny
then-
because it comes off the backs of the Pierce Brosnan
Yeah.
movies. So it's like they understood, like, oh, okay, these are starting to get really
Yeah.
cheesy. Let's spoof them even more
Mhm.
and play it out.
And then not 2014, 2015 with the release of something like Kingsman, which is a more like high fantasy, I'll call it that, spy movie.
Hmm.
They directly talk about like the two of the main characters, the villain and one of the main spies. It's like The spy movies are a little serious for my take nowadays, which is a direct reference to how James Bond has been like taking itself so deadly seriously, and
But which, in my opinion, worked.
no, it works fine.
Yeah.
It's just funny that
They
people
joke
take
about it.
exception with each sides of the spectrum of a type of movie like this, and yeah, especially with these movies are successful. There's people clearly like them.
Yeah.
Despite the fact you could claim that it's just because it's under the moniker of James Bond 007 or whatever, but they're still pretty for the most part quality movies.
Yeah.
3 out of the 5 are at least pretty good. So.
Right. It's funny how it kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah.
But,
this one was good. Then
The odd number
Quantum
ones are
sucks
really
ass.
good.
Yeah.
The even numbers are like, eh.
Yeah.
Skyfall's great. Spectre's okay. It's not it's still not bad.
I thought Spectre was going to be much better than anticipated.
I
I
remember
saw
being
Christoph
hyped,
Waltz was cast as whoever. They weren't saying he was Blofeld, and I was like, are you kidding me? Christoph Waltz? This movie's gonna be fantastic. And then it was like,
and they take fucking 40 minutes to even introduce him into the movie.
Yeah, you have to wait till he gets into a fight with Batista to be introduced to. Batista was in the movie too.
That's why I was excited.
Oh yeah,
he's good in that movie. I think might be the best part of the movie.
He was. He was a very good part because that in Spectre, that's when it starts to harken back to the older type James Bond movies where you have Jaws from Moonraker, and that's kind of who. In fact, that's almost who he was playing.
That's who he is supposed to be. He's supposed to be Jaws
because he has like the metal teeth and everything. But
yeah, he has the metal.
Oh, that's right. He has the metal fingernails, not the metal teeth. And he's playing like the big henchman guy, and then Bond kills him, obviously, and he doesn't talk throughout the whole movie until he attaches like a barrel to him.
Yeah, they're on a high moving train, and they attach a barrel, and he wraps the rope around his neck, and then he goes shit,
and then he gets hung out through the window. Yeah.
But that's 4 movies into this series, and we're not talking about it. We're talking about this.
Yeah. I apologize. I've watched all of these, with the exception of Spectre, within the last 2 weeks. So I just went on a Bond marathon, essentially.
I would like to go through them because like I said, I haven't saw 4 or 5, but we'll see if I have time. There's so much shit coming out right now.
Yeah. But where were we? We're right about so Bond wins the tournament. Chief is fucked basically, and Vesper and Bond go out to celebrate. They're trying to. They're just like at this point they're like, okay, we're whatever. Bond finds out that she has a necklace that's like a love token basically.
An Algerian love knot.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, whatever. And she gets a text from Mathis, and she's like, oh, Mathis needs me. And then I don't know exactly what it was, but he discovers that Mathis was a turncoat.
Yeah.
He looks at his drink, I think, and he's like, how did they know to poison my drink or something like that? Something along those lines.
And I think that, like I said to you earlier when that scene was coming up, that I noticed in the 3 times that I watched that sequence over the last 2 weeks. Spoilers, I love this movie. That Mathis bought Bond's trust, but then he comes back to the bar and tells, because he just lost. Vesper's pissed that he lost. And he tells Mathis, he's like, it was worth it. And he's like, what? He's like, I know his tell now. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, he twitches. He tries to hide a twitch. And like Lashif goes like this to like try to hide it. Mathis and Vesper were the only 2 people that he told about his tell. And there's a part in that sequence later where Lashif is sitting at the table and he does his tell and he looks at Bond and he goes, and he stops.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, somebody tipped him off about it.
Yeah.
That Bond knew. And it wasn't Vesper who told him. So it had to have been Mathis.
Right.
And then you find that out after. That's when he realized, like, oh shit, she's about to get captured. And then whenever they cut the tracker out of Bond's arm, he says, I'm afraid your friend Mathis is actually my friend Mathis.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then Lashif tries to interrogate Bond to get the password because he's like, because they're obviously torturing Vesper too, or at least they're claiming that they are, and
Yeah, we never see it.
yeah,
No. You just hear her whooping and hollering.
Woo, woo, woo.
but yeah, so Lashif is torturing Bond in the most creative way possible, and
I mean,
The monkey.
you want a man to
The
talk.
monkey's fist to the
Yeah.
nuts.
yeah, and basically saying it's like Bond's like it doesn't matter like what you do to me, I'm never going to tell you, so you're dead anyway. Like, and that pisses Lashif off because obviously he's out of options at this point.
Yeah.
But mid torture,
Where was Felix? Why didn't they just nab him?
I don't know. Yeah, because
The hell were they doing?
well, because I think Bond is either talking to Mathis or Vesper, and he's like, Felix is going to. Mathis tells Bond.
No.
Felix has made contact with
Vesper tells him via Mathis's
Yeah.
text message that Felix Leiter has made contact, which he's lying.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, like, did they incapacitate Leiter?
Maybe.
Or, like, they would have had to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Mr. White breaks in, murders Lashif because he's like, I'll get the money, don't worry, I'm gonna get the money. He's like, it doesn't matter if you get the money because it matters more who you can trust in this organization. And I guess they just couldn't trust Lashif because he took all the money that they were paid to gamble on, basically.
Right.
And so he's killed. Bond is nursed back to health. And
Yeah, we don't get an actual time frame.
yeah, it's hard to say how long between the poker game and the finale of the movie it is. I think Aaron and I were discussing it. It's like probably like a couple months, something like that.
Like, would it have taken that long to actually transfer, or did they have to wait till he was like conscious enough? I guess.
Probably.
Probably had to wait till he was conscious enough to actually transfer the funds.
Yeah, but and is Mathis trying to drug Bond again whenever he's like there? He's like, they told me to give you this.
Yeah.
He like puts like some shit in his water.
No, yeah, I'm pretty sure because he was trying to. At that point, he was probably trying to cover for Spectre. It was like, I gotta wipe him out so nobody knows what went down.
Yeah, and then he's like, better for me or better for you? And then some dudes just roll up on Mathis, might take him away.
Yeah.
Which then in Quantum, I mean, basically after he was caught and probably, I don't know what they did to him, but in Quantum, when you see him again, like, I forget, I don't remember much about Quantum, but it was the only Bond I saw in the theater, well, aside from No Time to Die. But I think he, like, basically tells him, like, hey, I'm sorry, like, wasn't supposed to go down that way, but
Yeah.
he did.
But so the funds are transferred to Bond's account, which he thinks is the Treasury, because that's who Vesper is,
Yeah.
On their side, as he thinks, alleged. And after Bond saved Vesper and all of this other, acts of whatever, she falls for him. And they have their romantic tryst for, like, what we said, maybe a month or whatever. Bond is tendering his resignation to MI6 on the day that he finds out that Vesper betrayed him. Which I really like the scene that he finds out that he betrayed him because M calls him and he's like, yeah, what? And he's like, I got your email. We'll talk about that later, but a man from the Treasury is here with me and he's really interested to find out when we'll get the money. And he's just like, fuck, I've been fucked.
Yeah,
I've been
he's like,
fucked
oh,
over.
that's a shame.
Yeah, he's like,
It's like, I didn't think they'd miss it. I'm on my way to the bank right now.
Yeah, it's like, oh, funny. And then because Vesper's like, I've got to go to the bank.
Then he frantically calls Mendel and he's like, shit. Mendel, I can't get my money. And he's like, oh, it's being withdrawn. And he's like, it's not me. Like,
He's like, oh yeah, sorry, there it is. He's like sprinting through Venice. But yeah. So Vesper is on the hook. We find out that her boyfriend was being,
yeah,
she's
he
like
was captured.
captured by Spectre, and she's trying to buy his freedom.
Yeah,
And
by giving them, she made a deal to give them the money in exchange for his life.
yeah,
And then fast forward to Quantum, he didn't fucking care.
Yeah. But yeah, so she is betrayed Bond, is handing over the money to the organization that we don't know is Spectre yet.
Right.
And Bond follows her, and a huge fight breaks out in a extremely unstable Venetian like tower. I don't know if that's how they actually keep buildings afloat there.
I think it is.
But that's pretty fucking crazy if it is. Because
what is it like on?
it's
like
like on
like
a
a big,
huge
like,
water
raft.
bubble, yeah, like a huge raft, which is
Okay.
like keeping it afloat. He punctures like three of them,
Yeah,
and it
he
just
shoots
starts
them,
fucking
yeah.
crumbling.
Yeah.
But
Which is under construction anyway. Like
Yeah.
they have like it blocked off and everything. But
I thought they were on like some kind of foundation, like beams in the water. I don't know.
maybe they were like replacing the foundation.
Right.
They had
Oh,
it like
could be like that.
uplifted or something
Could be
like
like
that.
but
So that they could get down to it and replace it and then like lay it back down onto the foundation. That's probably
I
what
don't
it
know.
is.
That's what I always
I
thought.
was gonna say that seems like a good storm comes into Venice and you got like buildings just like
Well, yeah, then they're all
knocking
gonna,
into each other
exactly.
and shit.
They gotta be anchored somehow. But
Yeah, oh yeah.
I don't know.
yeah, Bond wipes out all the dudes, and Vesper for some reason is in a
Elevator.
like metallic elevator.
It seemed like they put her in there
could have been.
for some reason, and
I
then she
think they
locks it.
did.
Yeah, so he's trying to rescue her because
Yeah.
you know the building's coming down, and she locks herself in. I'm sorry, James, and then she plunges into the water and drowns, callousing over Bond's heart once more.
Yeah.
I don't understand her motivation in the scene
Okay.
because like she
'Cause I don't either.
like she could have survived essentially.
She
Maybe
could-
she was like, oh, because her boyfriend or whatever is a part of Quantum or whatever, but.
I mean, even then, he's not really like a part of Quantum. It's just I think that she did it for him, but I think that maybe I don't know. Maybe she broke her own heart by betraying James,
Maybe.
and so she just
Well,
maybe she thought that she didn't deserve.
Or
to live.
was she too torn between the two?
That's partially my guess. Is like she was so hurt that she did that to James that she decided she didn't deserve to live or something like that. But her death did buy Bond the second chance that he needed.
Yeah. Because M talks about, because obviously Bond is pissed. He's like, I got one over on me, which is funny because in a scene,
Ooh, she got me.
in a scene right before that, Vesper and Bond are talking, and it's like, how did you know that Mathis? He's like, oh, well, he betrayed me or whatever. It's like, and he's like, lesson learned. I can't trust anybody. Which M tells Bond at the beginning of the movie. It's like you can't trust anybody.
Right.
Like, and he's like, well, everybody has a tell except for you. And then after she dies, he's like, M's like, well, it could have been her, so we can stop sweating Mathis. And he's like, no, you have to, like, just keep on him or whatever. And she's like, okay. And so he's like, you don't trust anybody, do you, Bond? He's like, no. He's like, well, you've learned your lesson. I told you, you can't trust anybody.
Yeah.
And he's obviously fucking broken up about it, but Mr. White gets the suitcase somehow after it was like drowning in the water.
Yeah, and there is a redemption, a little bit of a redemption for Vesper because she leaves behind a message
Yeah.
for James on her phone that says Mr. White and his phone number, who is the man who introduced Lashif to the terrorists and everything, and he's been instrumental in this whole movie behind the scenes. So at the end, when we see him, he picks up the phone, and it's Bond on the other end, and says, we need to talk, and shoots him in the leg.
And the calf, I think.
Yeah, and then walks up behind him and has the gun.
Bond, James Bond.
Yeah, because he says, who is this, whenever
He says the thing.
But,
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then Quantum picks up literally right after that. Bond is driving him to meet M somewhere in wherever they are. It's the Italian countryside or something like that. Or no, it's
I have to
Spain.
revisit.
I think it's
it's
Spain because they're
Spain.
doing the running of the bull. Yeah.
You have to revisit that movie because I've only watched it once. I remember fucking nothing of it. They're
I
on an
watched it-
oil rig at one point, aren't they? Something like that?
No, they're out in the middle of the desert in like a compound.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything to do with. No, there's nothing to do with the oil because they think
It catches
it's
on
oil.
fire. The place catches
Yeah,
on fire.
it
That's all I
blows up.
remember, Yeah.
They think that they're after oil because it's a desert, but they're not. They're after water
Yeah.
to control it. Like, yeah, it's fucking stupid.
I'm literally trying my damnedest to remember. I fucking don't remember that movie at all.
I literally went to the movie theater to watch this movie alone. Like, I had my mom, like, I was like, Mom, they're playing it at like 1 o'clock. Drop me off the movie. So I went to watch James Bond. And I like left and I'm like, it's alright. Like,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, that was like 2009, I think is when Quantum came out.
Yeah, 2000,
2008,
2008 or 2009.
And it was just okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
Those damn even Bonds.
Those damn even Bonds are not great.
who is the next James Bond?
Is it the big one, Henry Cavill?
And Idris Elba
Yeah.
are two of the short list. But they apparently I read it the other day, somebody said that the next Bond will be younger.
Well, he has to be. Because
Yeah.
people were pissed at Daniel Craig's. They were before even the movie came out, they were pissed because they thought Daniel Craig was too old. They were pissed because he had blonde hair. They were
He
pissed
was
because
like
he
in
had
his
blue
30s.
eyes.
What the hell they want? A 19-year-old James Bond?
Tom Holland's gonna play
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, he's an excellent Tom
That
Holland.
I will literally just be like, no, I'm out. Sorry.
That kid from We Are the Millers.
Eyebrows kid.
Yeah, I wrote it.
He could do it.
Probably good.
I have no idea. It's like
He is a British person.
who?
Right.
Have Aaron Taylor Johnson do it.
He'd be a good
He's
Bond.
I think he's either English or Welsh. I can't remember.
I have. Yeah, I have
He
no
might be
idea.
a good Bond.
He probably could be. Anyway.
Bring back Pierce.
Oh, I mean, this is irrelevant to this conversation, but Skyfall was like, so you probably don't know this, but Javier Bardem wasn't their first choice
No,
to
I
play
know.
Silva. It was originally going to be Sean Connery. They
Yeah.
asked him to come back,
No, I
so that would have been crazy. And if
Yeah.
not, they could have got Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan, I like Daniel Craig a lot, but he holds a special place in my heart for Bond, even though his movies suck ass.
Sean Connery.
No, Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, Pierce Brosnan.
But yeah, I think that they should
Pierce
do
was
that.
good.
They should bring back old Bonds as new Bond villains. Like
Yeah.
that'd be great.
That'd be funny.
Yeah, honestly, if Connery had come back as the villain in Skyfall, everybody would have lost their fucking
Yeah, I mean
minds.
that. I think hands down it would have been regarded as the best Daniel Craig installation of the.
Yeah.
But
franchise.
Javier Bardem was good.
Oh, he was excellent. Yeah, I nothing taken away from him. But
I feel like if you had brought Connery back, he was just so damn old that it wouldn't have been believable.
Yeah.
Like
he's like older than M.
yeah, like he just like rolls up in like a motorized like rascal, and he's like, "Show 007, I was 007 at one time." And he's
Well-
like, "When in the 1930s?" Like,
They clearly would have had to have changed the plot, but
Yeah.
you know. Ugh.
It was me all along, Bond.
"It's me all along." Bob." He's like, "Damn, that's crazy. How old are you?"
How fucking old are you? You corpse.
I've been playing this since you were.
He's like,
In
I'm
the
19.
womb.
He's like, I'm 95. He's like, why are you doing this? Shouldn't you be in a retirement home somewhere? He's like, conscious, yeah, mentally unstable.
Well, do we have much else to say about Casino Royale?
I was very
Let's talk about the song for a
I
moment.
was very pleased. That's where I was going. I was very pleased that it was Chris Cornell.
May he rest in peace.
Yes.
Very good Bond song.
Yeah.
One of the
I
better
didn't
ones
remember
alive.
that at all, and I really liked it.
I'm partial to Skyfall. So.
Oh, yeah.
Skyfall is like a flawless Bond song.
That was Adele, right?
And again, here we are. The odd-numbered Bond
Yeah.
movies have the best songs because you have
Oh yeah, that's true.
you have You Know My Name from this movie, Skyfall, and then you have No Time to Die by Billie Eilish, which
Right.
in my opinion is one of the better Bond
It's
themes.
I remember hearing it. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That came out like what 2 years before the movie actually
Yeah,
came out.
something
And I
like
was like, that's a
Well,
damn
yeah.
good Bond song.
Yeah.
It was supposed to come out when the movie came
Yeah.
out.
Do,
but,
do you know what the even number ones were?
It was Jack White was
Jack White and
Quan-
Christina Aguilera,
Yeah, and Sam
Oh.
Smith was Spectre.
Okay.
which
His is okay.
Radiohead wrote the original song.
Yeah.
for Spectre, but then they cut it out, which that one was better than Sam Smith's song.
I don't hate that one, but
it's not.
I do remember now that you said the Jack White and Christina.
It's not a great.
I remember that being a thing. I can't think of how it goes, but
I think it's called "Another Way to Die," is what that song's called, but it's not.
Yeah.
I like that. "You Know My Name" is the name of the song, and the movie literally ends with him saying
Bond.
James
Yeah.
Bond.
Yeah.
That's a nice little bookend of the.
No, honestly, I think this is one of the better James Bond themes.
Yeah. I was pleasantly pleased to hear that.
Yeah, it was a very good
back when I watched it originally. I didn't know anything about Chris Cornell. So.
Yeah. No, yeah, one of my favorites.
The music in general.
Music in general by David Arnold was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Who did the Roland Emmerich Godzilla and Independence Day?
Okay.
I think he actually did a couple of the Brosnan movies too.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's thunder.
If you can hear it, probably not.
No, they can't hear.
Set scheduled thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Little late.
All right. Is it ratings time?
It is
It
ratings.
is ratings time.
Well, I don't want to go first, so
I'll go first.
I just noticed.
You always go first.
I just noticed the stain
All right,
on
you
my
go
tooth.
I'll go first this time. I'm actually
Wait,
prepared.
let's see whose cards are better.
Oh, well, that's you
You're out
guys.
of goods.
Oh yeah, whose cards are better? Probably
We'll do that
yours.
at the end. We'll do that at the end.
We'll let him go first.
Or yeah, I'll go first, but
Then we show down.
then you show down to see who goes next. Anyway, live on the podcast. Anyway, I'm gonna go, and I'm kind of basing this on the fact that I've remembered a lot of this fucking movie, and it's been 10 years since I first saw it, and the only time I saw it. So, I'm gonna go 8 out of 10. It's up there because for it to stick with me as much as it did, I think that attests to how good of a movie it is. So I'm going to go 8 out of 10.
All right. I've got a pair of 5s, ace high.
I think
I win.
Yeah.
You have a pair of 9s.
I thought that reveal was gonna be cool. I couldn't see the cards, honestly. So it's like...
Yeah, I'll go. I was struggling between 8 and 8.5. I have a big problem with recency bias whenever I rate things, but definitely 8. I'm gonna stick with 8. I'll echo your 8. Everything you say, I really like the different tone of them that this franchise it jumps off and kicks off a whole new tone for the Bond movies for like an entire decade, basically. I like a lot of everything about this movie. My favorite parts of the movie are the poker game. That's I don't hate the action scenes by any means, but I just like that character stuff a little bit better.
9.
9.
I'm giving it a 9.
There you go.
Because the first time I ever watched this movie, it was interesting and everything, but I was also very young. I was like 12 or 13, and didn't understand the intricacies of the movie. I was used to just big action things and not having to think through a plot or anything like that. But watching it as an adult, I'm like, this is a very well written, very well executed James Bond movie. And it's in my top 10. It's definitely in my top 10. It's one of those movies that I can watch over and over and over again, as I have done over the last 2 weeks. I watched it twice,
Right.
and then watched the end of it today.
Yeah.
So it's one of those movies where if it's on, I will just watch it. Doesn't matter what part it's at. It's just a very well written movie. The tone is the same the whole way through. Its pacing is a little odd, but it's great. I love it.
All right.
Yeah.
There you have it. Our discussion of... I forgot the name of the movie.
Casino
Royale. It's over. Jesus Christ, my brain.
Skyfall? Vector?
We have another recommendation coming from me, and I have 3 movies in my brain right now. So I'm going to lay out the tones or the genres of the movie and you guys let me know what you're most interested in. So I want to stick with the spy genre, or I have a comedy and kind of like a comedy drama type thing. So what are we feeling? Are we gonna
So
let the
this was your
cards
first one.
decide?
Yeah, this was your first one. This was your second one. Your third one. Remember what they are, because I don't know.
Okay, I remember.
So whatever the highest card is here.
That's
will
what
be
we're
your
gonna
pick.
pick.
Okay, sounds
We
good.
leave it up to chance.
Well, that's a joker.
That's a joker, so that's a wild card.
So I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah,
What the fuck?
that's another
Whoa.
joker.
Okay, hold on.
It's like
And another
what?
joker.
What are the chances of that?
Excellent question.
That did not help my decision.
That did not
making
help.
In any,
We're
It
doing-
looks like it's the Joker.
oh God, no.
We're gonna try this again. 8 for your first pick. 2 for your second pick. So it's not that one, whatever that one is. And a king.
Okay, well, in that case, my recommendation for next week is going to be The Big Short.
I have wanted to watch this movie. It's an Adam McKay, isn't it?
Adam McKay came out in 2015 or 16.
I think, yeah.
You got no reaction from me. I know
It's
idea what the hell
about.
it is.
I have a bad feeling that you might not like it, but it's a film, a dramatization film about the housing market crisis of 2008.
Oh, okay.
So like, yeah, I don't know. It's from the director of
Step
Anchorman,
Brothers.
Okay.
and but he's done more serious movies. My personal favorite is Vice, that came out in 2018.
One of my favorites.
And this one is also an excellent movie. It's informative. I didn't know, obviously I was in fucking middle school when the housing market crash happened, so I didn't know anything about it. It was very informative and entertaining, to say the least. So,
I've wanted to watch this,
Yeah.
so I'm excited to watch it.
Sometimes
have you seen it before?
Nope.
Okay.
Sometimes I forget how much older I am with you guys. You were in middle school. I was graduating high school.
It really doesn't seem like, I mean, like,
I know.
like age-wise, you're not that much older than us. It's
Yeah.
just like, there's only like
When
3
you break
or
it
4
down like
years.
that,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
damn.
So yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled for The Big Short, I know there's not really much to spoil. Everybody fucking knows what happens. But for The Big Short, before next time, make sure to watch it. We will be having a spoiler discussion of it. Thank you so much for indulging us with this stupid card game and our discussion of Casino Royale. I know we enjoyed having it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching or listening. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and we'll see you in the next one. I fold.
Cheers.